Oh, now she, yeah, right.
Get an answer.
Still, yeah.
Now, what's really
Expensive time.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Just a reminder that this year's theme is to reach within and to embrace humanity. Today's invocation will be given by Paul Romanelli, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sally Brown was born on May 26, 1959. Some of you may actually remember it, as her birth announcement was carried in many of the major newspapers that day. These same newspapers continued to follow her life as she grew up. Yet, despite this scrutiny, she never quite achieved the same name recognition or fame as her older brother, Charlie Brown. When she was born, Charlie was lamenting to his best friend Linus about the sort of world his baby sister had been born into. Crime and war, poverty and famine, and what it would be like for her to grow up. Carefully wrapped in his blanket, Linus assured Charlie Brown that the world of today was a much better place than it had been just 6 years ago. Charlie looked at Linus and said, "How could you possibly say that?" Taking his thumb out of his mouth, Linus replied, "Because I am in it." Mahatma Gandhi said, "You must be the change you want to see in the world." Let us pray. Lord, thank you for this food to give us physical strength. Please give our souls the strength to do the things that will build goodwill and better friendships throughout the world. Amen. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome a fellow Rotarian from the Janesville Morning Club, Kelly Cameron. We have several members with guests today. Joy Nagobi actually has a guest named Peter, and he will be introduced by Lauren.
This is Peter DeFries. Peter comes from South Africa. He's been in the United States now for 9 years. He has finally gotten his green card and is working towards his citizenship and is very interested in Rotary, and so we're going to give him a packet and have him become a Rotarian. And he is now an insurance agent here in town. So welcome, Peter.
Bill Boyd has a guest.
Thank you. I have Al Herbst with me today, and he is with Northwest Mutual, another one of these insurance people. You know how they are. But I'd like to, I'd like to welcome Al because it's nice to see him here. He's also getting a packet, so please welcome.
On behalf of Al Reinecke, Dave Warren has a guest.
I'm happy to introduce my new friend, Major Bob Fay. Bob and his wife Ruth are the Corps officers of the Salvation Army in Janesville. Bob is a former Rotary member of Green Bay Club, and I would have given him an application, but my understanding is Al and Peter got the last two, and so I'll get him one next week. Help me welcome Bob.
Okay, our students of the month for February, Marcy Weber has a student.
I'm happy to introduce again Tommy Meister. He's a senior at Craig High School and plans to attend Duke in the fall, and he told us about himself last week. Welcome, Tommy.
Sharon Lukey has a student.
I'm pleased to again to announce Lydia Lobrano. She's a senior at Parker High School, and she'll be telling us about herself on the 20th.
Tom McDonald has a student.
We once again are graced by the presence of Greta Baker.
or Becker, and I don't want to give any spoilers, so we'll tell you nothing about her until next week.
Tammy Krebs has 2 students.
I'm pleased to introduce Sarah Murphy and Christopher Murphy, and their mother Jean is also here today. And today they're both going to tell us about themselves.
Come on.
Hi, my name is Sarah Murphy. I attend Milton High School. First and foremost, I'd like to begin by expressing my deepest gratitude and honor at being selected for Best Student of the Month. Thanks. I've dragged along my mother and my brother. My mom works as an engineer and a stay-at-home mom. My father's currently in Germany, so he can't be with us today, but he's an engineer as well, and he works at SSI Technology. I'll not tell you about my brother, seeing as how you'll hear from him in just a moment. In school, I participate in a lot of activities. I'm going to be going with, on our AP government classes, Discovering Democracy Field Study. It's basically where we go to Washington, D.C. and meet and talk with politicians, judges, other important figures in our country. I'm also a member of my school's Rube Goldberg organization. It's an engineering club. We build a machine that completes a task in 20 steps. I'm also the vice president of my school's National Honor Society, as well as a member of the National Society of High School Scholars and a National French Scholar. I like reading and writing and drawing. I'll be attending University of Wisconsin-Madison in the fall, and that's all.
Hi, I'm Christopher Murphy. I also come from Milton. I have my mom and my sister over there. I'm not going to tell you about them because she already did. But I'm honored to be selected as Student of the Month this month because it's a great honor, I guess. But I'm involved in a lot of stuff at school, like our National Honor Society. I'm the president of our National French Honor Society at our school. I'm also part of the Rube Goldberg Club. I'm also attending the Discovery Democracy trip. So, I'm an Eagle Scout. Yay! And yeah, I'm attending the University of Wisconsin-Madison in the fall, and I'm going to achieve a chemical engineering degree. So.
We have a few announcements to make. Number one, a reminder that this Wednesday is the board meeting at 7:30 at M&I on 26. John Wickham has an announcement about Camp Rotemer.
There will be a short Camp Rotemer meeting at right after this meeting. I do need the camp people to be there. We are looking at the beach and a number of other major projects I'd just like to go over, so please attend that meeting. Thank you.
I also have a request from Lynn Wood that if any member is interested in being part of the grants committee that will meet on February 27th after a regular meeting to review applications, please let John Wickham, Madge Murphy, or Lynn Wood know. Applications received will be distributed to the committee prior to that date, so you will have time to review them. New members or anyone not currently serving on any other committee are encouraged to take part. This would be a great chance to have some involvement in Rotary. Yes, Mr. Wickham.
We also have, I think it's 12 or 15 applications, so we do have quite a bit there. So you can really become part of Rotary by and being involved in that. So please, think about it.
Also, we are still in need of a co-chair for the 2012 corn roast. Lynn Wood is the chair. This is an opportunity again for you to get involved in a different capacity, but a much needed one. So if anyone is interested, please let one of us know. Heather Long-Henry, our current president, will be on a vacation until March. So if anyone has any comments from the peanut gallery, please feel free to email me directly and I will try to accommodate that. Also, we are in need of a video recorder. As you are well aware, we've made these recordings available for our members that are unable to attend. They can get credit and still see the meetings. We've had it pretty much every week. Steve is going into his busy time at work and will need to have a fill-in. So if anyone is interested in that, please see myself or Steve. On a sad note, I did receive an email this morning from Andy Walton expressing that his mother had passed away on Saturday. So Ruby Walton, so please keep his family in your prayers. Okay, so now with the raffle, Paul Benish.
We have $17 in the pot today, and the carryover pot is at $451. So I know Lissa is right-handed, so if you would, this means she's not going to be able to cheat, so you'll have to use her left hand to draw the winning ticket. If you could read that.
Oh, I thought you would. Okay. 550660. 660.
Thank you.
He's doing a road trip in
$451.
Okay, let's see.
Big one. Three of clubs.
Okay, now with today's speaker is myself. Last week I made an announcement that we were vacated for the week, so I did not have a presentation. So I thank all of you that kindly came up to me, and believe you me, all of those recommendations are being addressed. So it's great when we get some different ideas. So I think that worked out very well, even though it wasn't planned, it worked out well. So today we are very, very lucky to have our very own Tom from Blackhawk Technical College here to speak to us in regards to the Advanced Manufacturing Training Center at Blackhawk Tech. So without further ado, please welcome Tom.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to fill in. What I'd like to do is talk today about the Advanced Manufacturing Training Center that we are in the process of trying to build. And before we get started on the PowerPoint itself, I want to point out that this is what we're trying to do is build this with private money. So if you have a question about, when you're in this climate now, reducing budgets and having to make cuts and do different things, why this? Well, this is the exact right place to go for this region in terms of economic development, and we're trying to partner with various manufacturers from around the region to make this reality. So we'll go ahead and get to the details of it. One of the things about modern manufacturing right now is that we're seeing a lot of difference, a lot of changes have taken place. You'll see a lot of continuous process improvement, quality management techniques, and especially increased automation with robotics and other kinds of smart systems. We see this everywhere we go when we go around the region. We go through the various manufacturing plants. There's a change out there. It's much more automated than it's been in the past. It's cleaner, leaner, and it's bright. And this modernization is really to stay competitive globally, to compete with overseas cheap labor. Modernization, robotics, and intelligent systems is the way to compete. But that creates a situation where we need higher trained technicians to work in these plants than ever before. coming right out of high school isn't as effective anymore as it used to be. To get into these manufacturing positions, you need more training. So we borrow the definition of what we mean by advanced manufacturing. It's not necessarily mean that there's a high-end product at the end of it. It can be a very basic product, but it's a highly technical process that creates that product. So it might be a plastic Coke bottle, but the process of producing that Coke bottle is very advanced, robotics, advanced systems. It could be a high-tech product at the end, but the main thing we're talking about is these high-tech processes produce products. And we're also seeing this is the change in the environment I was talking about. It used to be that you would see management, technical workers, and unskilled labor in the classic triangle. Now what you see more of is just have the same amount of management, but the technical worker takes up a huge part of that, and the unskilled labor tends to be a little less. Now, I've had, when I've given this presentation, other people have people argue with me and say, well, that's not really true in my particular plant. We still have a lot of unskilled labor. And that's probably true. We probably still have that going on. But you're going to see this trend continue, and we continue to see it everywhere nationwide. I sit on an advisory committee for the National Association of Manufacturers. They bring in a number of educators from around the country. We meet in Washington, D.C., and they give us the national trends all the time. And the national trend is more and more highly trained technical workers are needed in manufacturing. When you hear a lot about the skills gap, that's what's going on. We don't have enough trained people to fill the number of jobs. Right now, the National Association of Manufacturers estimates there are 600,000 unfilled jobs in manufacturing right now in the nation, 600,000. So what we're talking about is the Advanced Manufacturing Training Center, where we're going to take all of the manufacturing-related programs that we have at the college, and we're going to combine them all together and put them in the center. Now, the center we are going to put together is in the Iron Works on the Rock River in Beloit, and we are going to take that huge manufacturing space and remodel it to a modern training facility. We're going to have special labs and classroom designs. We're creating what we call a deep learning environment in that center, and we are going to have all kinds of strategies in place for student success. And let me pause here to talk a little bit about what we mean by that. One of the things that's surprising to a lot of people is the dropout rate in two-year schools. Nationwide, the percentage of students who start and graduate is 27%. In this state, it's 34%. So our state is better than the national average. Blackhawk, our graduation rate is 41%. And that's not even reasonably acceptable to us, even though we're better than the state average and the national average. We're with a lot of things that are barriers for two-year students that we're going to try to overcome just by the way we design things and do things at the center. We're going to certainly work on maintaining a high level of quality. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then we will also see this as a huge player in regional economic development. When we offer something like this, the special training for manufacturing, we expect that that will be a draw for manufacturers wanting to relocate into this region. We can train specifically to the needs of a particular organization. And as an example, we just recently, last week, met with Shine to look at what their training needs are going to be and what we can provide for them. And that's the kind of thing we'll continue to do. A flexible future. One of the things in the design that we're doing for this center is that we are going to be able to switch programs in and out as is needed. One of the things that a two-year school must be is flexible. We must be able to bring training in that is pertinent and relevant, and we have to remove training that is no longer applicable to the area. And that's one of the tough decisions that presidents and leaders at colleges have to make, is some things have to go so you can bring new things in. And what we do is we keep in mind what's the best that we can do for the citizens of this particular district. What are the things we need to train to so that we get the most people into the jobs that will support a family and help people become productive citizens. So co-location of programs, we can just run through these quick. Our CNC technician. Our electromechanical technology, this is our advanced robotics and programming. Industrial mechanics, just people who have the skills and training to fix the machinery that are on the factory floor. When machines go down, production goes down, people lose money. You need people who are well-trained to fix these things. Mechanical design technician, go ahead. Certainly welding. The demand for welders is increasing every day, and it's going to continue. We have big plans to advance that. And individual technical studies. When we can't specifically have a program that fits a person's need, we can combine courses to put a special degree together. This is especially important for people who are working. Go ahead. Quality Sciences Certificate is another currently intended for employed individuals, and it's the same with Industrial Engineering Certificate. Now, right now, these numbers aren't quite accurate. It was 79,500 square feet. It's over 100,000 now. That's because the architects met with our instructors and we started looking at all of the things this center could be that we hadn't yet thought of, and so it's gone up. But what you're going to see is lots of practical lab space where students are trained on the machinery that they need to be trained upon. Of course, classroom space, and then what you always have in a building, you need all these other infrastructure areas. We're going to put in dedicated labs and generic labs and then a special projects lab. Let me talk about that. Generic labs are designed that can be switched between programs so that you don't design something so specifically that it can serve no other purpose. Programs can come and go. It's just a basic design that I'll show you here in a minute. The dedicated lab, however, we have a few programs that if they're not specifically designed to that program become very problematic. For instance, welding. If welding isn't designed specifically for welding, then people choke on the smoke and things catch on fire. So and people get blinded. So there are things you have to do for some programs that are very specific to that particular program. Now, the Advanced Manufacturing Projects Lab is a centralized, in the middle of a hub, generic. It's going to be a big open space where we're going to have what we call capstone projects. We'll bring teams in from various programs to teach teamwork and problem-solving skills and that sort of thing. And what they will do is they will build manufacturing systems. And then when they build it, we will break it. And then we'll have them fix it. And what it does is teach right to the bottom level what's involved in all of these steps and how is it to work with other people, how is it to work with welders, mixing with CNC operators, and try to simulate the manufacturing environment as it is now. And this Advanced Manufacturing Projects Lab should be outstanding because it's a lot of what we hear from manufacturers is that, you know, you're training well to the technical, they'll tell us, but we need skills, soft skills too, like show up on time and work in a team and problem solve and do all these kinds of things. And so this is all designed to make that happen. We will, of course, have state-of-the-art classrooms, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then what we're also trying to do is make it modern and bright and appealing. Manufacturing has a bad stereotype. Dark, dirty, and dangerous. And it's not that way. Most of the factory floors, when you go out and look at businesses in this region, you could eat off the floors. They're beautiful. Now, this is a generic lab. It's a little hard to see, but what you can see that's real important is there's these towers. And those towers bring in power, gas, water, everything that's necessary for a lab environment. And between those towers, you can put in a bench configuration, and you'll see in a minute, next one, you'll see that you can also put in racks for training. These are totally different programs that I just showed you. One was an electronics program, and all they use is electricity. This is an instrumentation and control. They use everything. They use gas, electricity, air, everything in that environment. And these are exactly the same lab configuration so that any program can be brought in and made there when they don't have something special like special air removal that welding would have. And this is just another example, a little closer up. These particular programs use that same training model that I was just talking about. Students build systems that do something. Now, my favorite one ever was the instrumentation program that built the portable barbecue. Wireless, portable barbecue. What you could do is from your kitchen on a computer screen, start your barbecue, set the temperature, and do it all from inside your house. Really cool. I thought, this is a great product in my former college. and we could market that. We could make money. And then they ran the figures for me. It's not ready for the market yet. It costs a couple $1,000s just to make it. So I think that the portable barbecue, the remote barbecue, is probably a long ways out. But it was cool. But what that shows is that the instructor would have students build all of that to show how it could all, you could put a system together. Then he would break it, and they would fix it, and then they tear it all apart for the next class to come in. These are all things that are built in a system so students understand how the complexity of how things work, and then how they need to be fixed. So it's a great learning tool. Now, the deep learning environment. First of all, when we have additional space, we can get in more lab stations. Right now, we don't have enough room for all the equipment we need to train. In the welding program, I don't have an overhead crane. I can't move big pieces of steel. I can't bring in presses. I can't do any plasma cutting because there's not enough room. There just doesn't enough square footage. So we can get more lab space for more equipment, and we can also expand programs and bring in simulators. Simulators are getting so advanced now. There's welding simulators, there's painting simulators that can save a lot of money in terms of consumables. We go through a lot of steel. We burn up a lot of electricity, as you could well imagine. So simulators are a great solution to that. So all that means is in the deep learning environment, which we define on the maximizing the ability of a student to learn, we have additional space, which helps a lot. And then also, this co-location of programs that I talked about before. An enriched learning environment. So you create learning communities of different disciplines. It's how you have this cross-training opportunity. We simulate the factory environment with this design, and we teach us teamwork and respect for the various disciplines. Now, we're also going to apply teaching technology. We have a system called lecture capture, which means that everything that's spoken in the classroom is recorded and put on a computer that a student can access 24/7, 7 days a week. Okay? 7 days a week, any time of the day, they can go back and look at any portion of a particular lecture. They can even fast forward right to the moment that they may have noted in their notes that they missed something, and they can view that over and over and over again as many times as you want. Computers don't get tired, like instructors do, of explaining something over and over and over again. Also demonstration stations, and what I mean by that is in the labs themselves, we will have cameras and have certain little stations of demonstration that an instructor can say, right now I'm going to show you a certain weld. And they will weld it. Everybody in the room can see it on a large screen, because otherwise it's 2 or 3 people and the instructor does it multiple times. And it gets recorded on the computer one more time. I had nursing instructors and actually dental assisting instructors back in Washington when I was there who wore cameras on their heads so that everybody in the lab could see a technique in the mouth, cleaning technique or something else that got broadcast and recorded. We'll do the same thing in this situation. Smart boards, that means that everything that the instructor marks on a board will be recorded by the computer. So that all the notes, everything they put up on a lecture will be recorded and students will have access to that. Smart boards also offer all kinds of great graphics and different things that teachers can use. Immediate response is my favorite from my old teaching days. I will tell you that you look out sometimes at the faces of your young students, bright-eyed, and you think, there's nobody home. you put out a question, you say, does everybody understand it? You got that? So, what clicker technology does is, if you don't understand it, you can press a button, because a lot of students don't want to raise their hand and be the only one. I remember being a college student very well. Do I want to be the only one who doesn't seem to get it, even though probably 2/3 of the class doesn't? So you don't want to raise your hand. You don't want to be the only one, because you don't want everybody to look and say, boy, Tom doesn't get it again. Okay. So if the clicker, you push the clicker, and it tells the instructor right at the podium how many didn't get it. If it's 2/3 of the class, they can stop and say, okay, obviously I didn't explain that very well, let's try that again. But if there's only 1 or 2, you can say, I know there's a couple of questions, we won't stop now, come and see me after class. That way, nobody has to be embarrassed if they don't get anything. Because that's what typically happens. And if you've ever compared students who take notes in classes, I used to see students who would take 5 pages of notes on my lecture, and one would have a half a paragraph. And I'm thinking, the half a paragraph's not going to do that well. So this is a way to try to identify them and help them, and then also simulators once again. Covered that. We're also using embedded tutors. We did an experiment last year. We embedded a math tutor in the welding program, just to be there to help with anything that came up. Now, one of the misconceptions out there is somehow the programs at Blackhawk are easier. So counselors tell students, well, you can go here to this university, but if you're not getting that good a grade, you can go to Blackhawk. Let me tell you what happens to those students. They fail at Blackhawk. Our programs are rigorous. Most of our programs have big math requirements that are very tough. And so we have found that if we embed a tutor into the area just to be there to help answer math questions, it goes a long ways to helping them understand. And most of our students, they're not great at listening to people lecture up on a board about math, but the moment you show them the application of that formula and what it means to bend that metal in a certain way, it clicks. Because these are smart people. It's just a different way of learning. We'd also have peer tutors and other tutors as required so that we maximize success. We found that the embedded math tutor was very effective. Real work experience. We want to tour district manufacturing. We want to have guest speakers, conferences, symposia, and manufacturing. But really, really important is internships. We want every student to have a work experience before they graduate. We want them to go to the factory floor. We want them to work in an environment where we're working hand in hand with that manufacturer, that business person, to set up learning outcomes for them to go in and learn what that environment's all about. And to make sure that's what they want to do. We've had interns have different experiences. We've had some go out and say, you know what, I love this kind of manufacturing, but not what they're doing. I want to do something over here. And others have been so good that we've had companies hire them without an opening. They hired them just because they knew they had a good person they wanted to hang on to. So the internship is a great experience for students, but also, equally important, it's a great hiring method. Because if you as a business owner can test drive these students, you can pick and choose the ones you like the most. Which ones seem to have the right work ethic for your area, the right attitude, the right skill sets, and you can pick and choose. And if it doesn't work out, you can pat the person on the back and say you have good resume material, good luck. And if you like them a lot and you want to keep them, you hire them. It would be my wish that in the future nobody has a job opening. And all the companies out here in manufacturing are having so many interns that they're picking and choosing and taking the ones they want, and nobody has a job opening. Okay. Retention, just the deep learning environment itself with everything I've already talked about improves retention a great deal and learning. And we're going to start with beginning program seminars. You bring a graduate in from a program who's done really well. And this happened this fall. I went to electromechanical program and we had a student come in who had 6 job offers before he graduated. And of course the new students swarmed on him. How did you do it? What did you do? And what he started doing was talking about how you succeed in this program. They started talking about extra time in the lab, the things you really need to know and learn. And that's what we want to start doing, is we want to prepare students even before they start the program so they know what they're in for, and what they need to emphasize, and what they need to pay attention to, so we, again, can maximize success. Student services will offer the array of student services we do everywhere, but there will be they'll be offered there. And career connection. We want everybody to have a good idea early on what they want to do. Not only just the program they're in, but where they want to work. Actually, specifically want to work, where they want to target their internship, and where they'd like to spend their career working in this area. Trying to develop a workforce that comes here, works here, stays here, lives here, pays taxes, does all the things that we all want good citizens to do, and makes a good living. We're going to maintain quality by these 2 main things. Now, every program we have at Blackhawk has an advisory committee, where we have on that advisory committee the consumers of our product, the businesses out there who hire our graduates. That's every program, whether it be health sciences, criminal justice, or manufacturing, any of them. But we're also going to create a center advisory committee for the Advanced Manufacturing Center with plant managers, primarily, maybe some CEOs, to tell us, in general, advise us on where we should position the Advanced Manufacturing Center to serve manufacturing in this region. Are there some trends going on? Are we seeing certain types of manufacturing begin to locate here? Because that's what happens oftentimes. Something starts, and peripheral businesses begin to attach themselves and come here because of that. And we need to continually position this center to serve that workforce. So, regional economic development is a draw for manufacturers considering relocation or expansion from another area. Significant aid to manufacturing in the region considering expansion. We're seeing this as flexible and adaptable for program expansion and to be able to adapt to the future. And we can also customize. Now, sometimes we don't have enough demand from a particular company that would justify opening a brand new program. You're only hiring 5 or 6 people a year. We can't keep a program open for 5 or 6 people a year. So we have an alternative, which is customized training. We can customize training to a particular business's need to help either incumbent or new workers gain the skills they need. And we want this to be direct and positive and very visible. We want economic development folks here in this region to be able to brag about us and show people what we're trying to do here. And there's an old axiom that's really true here. If you build it, they come. You can talk about it on paper is one thing, but if you build it and show it and it's available, then it makes a big difference. Future opportunities, room for new programs, more part-time options, program expansion, all the rest. I think there was another one going about it. Oh, that's really important one. High school pathways. What we're working on diligently with career and technical education at the high school is to develop pathways for high school students to come to Blackhawk, to identify early in their career that, like their freshman year, that they'd like to be involved in manufacturing, technical program, and that we would have opportunity for them at the high school level to begin earning Blackhawk credits towards that degree, cutting down the amount of time they may need to be at Blackhawk in order to get a 2-year credential. So that's something we're working on right away because we want to see a smooth, without barriers, a pathway that comes from high school right straight into Blackhawk and then into a really good job. And that's not just manufacturing, that's our technical health occupations and the rest. Okay. So in conclusion, the state-of-the-art technical training center on the cutting edge of teaching innovation, trying to provide the best education possible for advanced manufacturing. A steady flow of talented workers for our manufacturers here in this area. We have unfilled jobs out there right now, and we want to make sure that we get those jobs closed. It's a deep learning environment, so we want to offer the best chance for student success. It's a mechanism to address a talent shortage, and we do have a talent shortage, and we will continue. By the way, the Department of Labor says if things continue as they are right now, we will be 35 million workers short by 2030. Now the population is expected to grow by 60 million during that time. The disconnect is not enough trained people for the jobs as they are now beginning to be designed. It is certainly a showcase for manufacturing training. We want to make manufacturing attractive to students. We want to show them that it is a different environment than it used to be. Potential pathway for high school students, as I've talked about. Significant attraction to companies thinking of expanding to the region. Training center ready to meet the needs of incumbent workers within the area and be nimble and adaptive to an ever-changing manufacturing world. New products are always coming out, new businesses are always starting. We want to play a part in that. Okay, let's see if we can play that.
For it, we get the story tonight from NBC's Lisa Myers.
Even with 14 million Americans out of work, the industrial giant Siemens is having so much trouble finding qualified workers that for the first time, it's had to hire recruiters. CEO Eric Spiegel argues that unemployment remains painfully high, not solely because of a lack of jobs.
Well, there are jobs out there, and so we don't have the people who have some of the skills that are required.
It's known as the skills gap, the gap between skills required for available jobs and the talent pool. Siemens alone has more than 3,400 jobs open in the U.S. Engineers, sales, production. That includes hundreds of jobs here in Charlotte, North Carolina. making turbines and generators.
Key thing that we're looking for are folks that have mechanical aptitude and math skills to be able to learn how to do programming through the automated equipment that we use.
Siemens puts applicants for jobs here through a battery of tests: reading, math, mechanical aptitude. Only 10% pass and are deemed to have enough skills to be trained for these jobs. It's a nationwide problem. A recent Manpower survey found that 52% of employers are having trouble filling key jobs. In West Virginia, IBS Hydro, an environmental cleanup company, desperately needs certified drivers to drive heavy equipment, workers with construction experience and safety training. Larry Dawson says a lack of qualified workers is hurting his ability to expand.
You can buy all the equipment in the world, but you still have to have the trained employees to operate that equipment.
What's the answer? Experts say more math and science at all levels of education and the right training to match workers with the jobs that are out there now. A mismatch that hurts both employers and workers hungry to find jobs. Lisa Myers, NBC News, Charlotte, North Carolina.
That problem's not unique to North Carolina. It's countries I've talked about. So, at that, I'm done. I would answer any questions if you have any. Sir.
Tom, you mentioned the 43 or 47% graduation rate. There are a number of factors that play into that. What are the major deterrents, the top 2 or 3 that keep students from completing?
I think a couple of things. Underestimating the rigor of the program is one of the big things, but also the average age at our college is 27, which means a lot of students have multiple responsibilities. They have to work. They have families to support. They may be working full-time and trying to go to school, or part-time and trying to go to school. All of that combines. So there are financial reasons. There are those barriers of trying to go to work and study and do all those things that make it a tough road in a lot of ways. Anything else? Yes, way back.
What are the financial resources you're going to need to pull this off? And then secondly, how much space are you going to free up at the central campus?
Yeah, good questions. How we're going to pay for this is we're going to try to raise the money to completely gut this thing and put it into a great environment. They're now working on the final numbers. Once the instructors and the architects get done, they'll have a final ballpark figure. And we're literally, I'm going to team up with folks from Hendricks Development and some others, and we're literally going to go out and ask for money to try to get this thing built. Now, it should free up a much-needed space on the central campus, especially room for a nursing program, more room for the criminal justice program. So it has a great chain reaction effect. And we can move those off campus and put them in the center, then we can expand and we can do some good things back on the central campus, so allow us more room there as well. And I'm guessing we're going to probably free up maybe 45,000 square feet. We get much more gain with 100,000 here.
I'm behind you. No, are you planning to take this story to the high schools like the Parker and Craig and try and attract students there that might think they have to go to regular college but would find this a more exciting challenge?
Yeah, we're going to try to sell that everywhere at the high schools, with the counselors, with the students, with the parents, all of that. It's one of those things that I think once we get it built and up and running, it'll be a great draw, great place for field trips, great way to get students interested in manufacturing.
Training for a region for manufacturing jobs. Now, how far out do you go with your region? Do you include Madison, Rockford, Chicago, or how far do you go?
It's an interesting question because our district is Rock County and Greene County. Not even all of them, either one of those, but most of those two. That's where I have to concentrate my efforts. But what you find is if you build those kinds of things, you talk a lot about it. I've already gotten interest from companies in Northern Illinois who want to know what we're doing. So I concentrate on serving Rock County and Greene County the best I can. If there's spillover and somebody wants to come down from Madison or those others, I can't stop them. I won't. But that's what we train to. We train for what we're doing here.
My question
you gonna pay for this?
Yeah.
You already explained.
Yeah, that's what we have to do. We have to raise private money, yes.
Is there a facility, or where is the nearest facility comparable to what you're proposing?
A training center like this?
Yes.
Probably Fox Valley. If you go to Fox Valley Technical College, you see about 4 iterations of this, and really significant partnerships with various businesses. And I would also say Gateway. Gateway has this huge center for Snap-on tools that Snap-on helped build, and those are the kind of partnerships I hope to leverage in the future. Somebody told me the other day, I could certainly donate to you some CNC machines, and I said I don't want old equipment. We need to be cutting edge. I need brand new equipment. I need Haas as a manufacturer of CNC machines to want to come and locate with us to showcase their machines so that they can have a place to have area manufacturers come and see what their new machines can do. And I can train on it at the same time. Those are the kinds of things we need to leverage. Also in the grant environment, you can start getting grants for equipment and other things after you build it. If you try to, I've been in this business a long time, if you try to raise money based on what's on paper, it's not nearly as effective as people love to throw money at something that's up and successful. And so if we can raise the money privately, and we're not talking about a lot, we're talking maybe 6 or 7 million to gut the place, get it into shape, then we should start really being able to draw funds in. I know 6 or 7 million for some is going to seem like a lot of money, but it's a drop in the bucket, really, compared to what it would cost to build something like this brand new. Drop in the bucket.
Tom, any federal grant money out there for building?
We searched grant, we begged at the state, and everybody says, great concept, no money. Yeah. But I do have a lot of interest in the Manufacturing Institute is very interested in what we're doing. They're the biggest lobbyists on behalf of manufacturers in DC. They like this concept. Luckily for me, I sit on their advisory committee so I can showcase this. They're going to help me find it once we build it. They're going to help me find more money to find the equipment, buy the equipment, all the things that I need to do. So I got some good partners. So as I say, this concept was created between us and Hendricks Development originally, and just take it off from there. It's evolved. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, with that, we are adjourned.